Hey guys, Kevin here to bring you a brand new video where today we're going to be talking about something that has been interesting me lately, and that is the Bechdel test. It's been a while since I've made a video on this channel, but I just thought, this is such an interesting topic. I just feel like I should make a video about this. Like sometimes I just have things that come up, like shows, movies, like different analysis, different things to think about in movies, that I just feel like making videos about. And this is just like one of those things that really fascinates me, that I've been looking at as far as how it all works. So I knew next to nothing about how this all worked, but it sounded interesting to me. Like I was a big psychology guy, and I always knew about I knew about the Milgram experiment, like conditioning, there's different sorts of things that you learn about with different things that are named after people. So I was like, the Bechdel test. What's that? And so what the Bechdel test is essentially it applies to film. And Bechdel test, in order to pass the Bechdel test, you have to have two women in the movie talking to each other, and they cannot be talking about a man. So they have to be named, they have to be talking to each other, and they have to be talking about something other than a man. So with that, a lot of movies fail this test, unfortunately, which is, it sucks to see. And, it is interesting to think about because it kind of goes to show that there is sort of a inequality or imbalance as far as genders go in movies, with women and men. A lot of movies are heavily male focused, and if anything might have one female protagonist and that's it. And then it's just the one female they have to worry about saving, or getting with her, or marrying that person, or becoming romantically involved with that person, or and it's just a lot of the times it's usually just one girl, and if there is a second girl, she's a lesser character, or that girl doesn't talk with her, or if that girl is talking to her, maybe they're talking about the guy that wants to get with them. So with that, this really actually applies to a lot of movies, and it shows how there is some inequality when it comes to that, I think. And I do also appreciate this because movies that pass the Bechdel test are ones that I gravitate towards a lot, because I appreciate a lot of women led movies, and just movies that are more women led, women focused. Just I appreciate those. So movies that pass the Bechdel test, can have guys too. They have guys too, so they have both. They essentially they pass the Bechdel test, so they have women who talk to each other about something other than a guy, and they have guys who do the same. So that's a good balanced movie. Now of course movies that fail the Bechdel test, sure, they can still be my favorite movies. There are movies out there that fail the Bechdel test that I'm still gonna say are some of my favorite of all time. So movies the first one that comes to my mind is Star Wars. So think about Star Wars. Where are the women in that? There's Princess Leia. Who else? Who what other women are in that movie? Because I can't think of any. And it's just that movie is all about a bunch of guys flying around space. Now it's awesome. It's a fantastic movie, but that is one example of just the imbalance as far as gender goes in movies. And now I think it has sort of come a decent long way. And I think it's progressing in a good direction, but it is still something to look at and something to think about with the way things are with this. So some movies that pass the Bechdel test that I particularly appreciate that I wanted to highlight here are Halloween, Tangled, Happy Death Day, Prince of Darkness, Heathers, Cam, right there, Climax, Scream, Hereditary, The Cabin in the Woods. Those last few are some great horror movies that passed the Bechdel test. Um, all great movies that I've seen that I really appreciate. Now, there's also a different side to this. There's the reverse Bechdel test. Now, the reverse Bechdel test is essentially, does the movie have two guys? Do the two guys talk to each other? And do they talk about something other than a woman? Now, a lot of movies are gonna pass this test, and that's not what we're focused on. We're focused on movies that fail the reverse Bechdel test, because these movies are very like woman focused and don't include men, which to me is not a bad thing at all, because why does that matter? But so some of these interest me in that these are movies that make a point to, I don't know if they make a point to do it, but these are movies that just don't really have prominent male characters. So it's kind of swinging the other way. And this is like a little bit less common, I feel like. And so these are unique too. So some of these are Portrait of a Lady on Fire, The Descent, Kill Bill, Booksmart, Whip It, Inside Out. That one surprised me, because like Inside Out, when you really think about it, like there's never really two guys that talk together in that movie. That's one of my favorite movies of all time. And two male characters never really get together in that. Like fear and anger, like they're kind of like together, but I think even then, like if they are talking to each other, they're talking about Riley or Joy or women. So yeah, I think that is true. I think it does fail the reverse Bechdel test. And you have like Birds of Prey, which is a female protagonist led movie. There is a male antagonist, but yeah, I guess he must only talk about, trying to like get Harley Quinn, the Ewan McGregor character. Yeah. And then you have Run. Yeah, that one's pretty like woman focused. And yeah, the other ones, Portrait of Lady Fire, Descent, Kill Bill, Booksmart, Whip It. Those are all just like women led movies essentially. So yeah, it's nice to appreciate this kind of thing, and interesting to look at. So yeah, I just thought I'd go over that. And yeah, I mean, the struggle for getting equality in the film industry is real. I think it's a real thing, and I think movies often have a hard time with like not with like pigeonholing like woman into like the singular like princess or like girl that needs to be saved or girl that needs to get in a relationship. They get like pigeonholed into like that role sort of, and I think that's a problem that a lot of movies have, and they fall into that like trap a lot actually. And so I feel like as times develop, I feel like that is something to address, to be like, hey, I mean, like women don't have to be just like limited to this sort of like role, so I'll always appreciate movies that pass the Bechdel test and movies that fail the reverse Bechdel test. So yeah, hope you guys have enjoyed this video. I just found it an interesting topic to talk about. So yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one.